Welcome to lectures and interviews about leadership for sustainability. I'm Bruce Hall.
In which future do you want to live? How do you define it so that others can work with you? You know from your studies of leadership that you have to facilitate direction, alignment, and commitment. Well, being able to describe and define and motivate people around your definition is key. In these next two short sessions, I'm going to define sustainable development using several classic definitions. I'm going to work sort of from what I think are the less powerful ones up to some of the more powerful ones to help you help others get direction, alignment, commitment around sustainable development. I think the first task here is for you to pause for a minute and come up with some definitions. Think about how you would define it. And then I'm going to come back and walk through some of the classic definitions. Okay, here are some of the basics. I don't find any of them particularly powerful, but they're intuitive. In the upper left corner, there's the classic Brundtland definition, where we meet the needs of the people today, the intra-generational equity, with allowing people of the future to also meet their needs. It's a great definition, but it's so general, it's hard to operationalize. These two on the right-hand side are different versions of the same idea that sustainable development has an environmental component, a social equity component, and an economic component. Just how do we want to combine those three entities? Again, it's an intuitive definition, but not very helpful. The one down here in the lower left goes a little bit further in talking about capitals, different types of capital that need to be built and developed so that a place is sustainable. There's both natural capital and all types of social capital that are required. Here's a classic definition that a lot of people like. It's the Planetary Boundaries, Rockstrom's idea that there are several definable limits of the ecosystem, the biosphere, that we can't exceed. And so if we maintain ourselves to keeping the biosphere within those limits, then all is good. So you can see that we're blowing through some biodiversity and especially nitrogen and phosphorus. Ozone we had blown past, but we're back. We're doing better now. So this is a way to describe what is sustainable development. I don't find it very effective in mobilizing people and getting direction, alignment, commitment, because it doesn't share where we're going. It just says what we can't do. Here's another definition, the Oxfam donut, which has on the outside has those same planetary boundaries. These are the limits. You can't exceed these things. And on the inside, we've got some discussions about people. They need energy, they need equity, they need health, they need food and water and income, and education, and the system needs to be resilient so it's not bouncing around so much. And then in between those is the donut, is the sustainable development. This is a safe operating place for people. And so this is a much more powerful definition, but I still think there's a better way. Now here's the classic sustainable development goals. The SDGs, the United Nations effort of getting the best and the brightest minds together and coming up with a 17-point definition of what is sustainable development. And within each of these different goals, there are sub-goals or objectives. Now here we get a clear sense of direction. We get there's no poverty, no hunger, good health. Down here we got life on the land, life below the water, and climate stability, and these kinds of things. These are clear goals, but they're also sort of mobilized commitment, because countries compare themselves to one another. So you can mobilize not just direction of knowing what we're going to try to achieve, but also some commitment, because if a country falls short on these, then they are presumably motivated to do better. So those are a couple ways to begin defining sustainable development. I think they give you some direction, help others find some direction, and maybe a little bit of commitment. But I think there are some much more powerful ways, and they involve telling a story. And that's what the next video is about.